Alright, Father Time here. Lousy weather. We're in Bradley, Hartford. We are in a 787 made by PMDG. We're going to fly over to LaGuardia, or attempt to, in the bad weather, with an inoperative radar, which obviously is not something we would dispatch. Looking around, we got LNAV, BNAV. There's a lot of things I had to set up. I used a SimBrief to download the flight plan via the box from PMDG. That was cool. Our route of flight is going to take us Hartford, CMK, and out over the IAF. We're going to use LNAV, BNAV. We're climbing to 5,000 feet. Runway headings 328, V2's 154. Numbers are set. As I mentioned, only right up in the book is inoperative radar, and that would definitely be a no-go. We're on the runway. Parking brakes actually released. So, only problem on this airplane I've found so far is hitting toga. So I'm going to do it right now. As soon as I find it. Here we go. It's going to give us a chance to talk about the bad weather. We'd have the wipers on, but we don't need them today. The only reason I'm not putting them on is single-man operation. Kind of heads down when you're trying to get around the weather. 80 knots acceleration check. We cross-check our airspeeds. Center line, center line. Using the HUD up here. V1 rotator the same speed today. Get right up in the command bars.
Positive rate of climb.
Gear up. And I'm flying those command bars. See the little circle on the HUD? Put the little circle inside the big circle. That's how you fly the HUD. You can cheat and look down at the PFD a little easier. All right, there's flaps 5, so we can go to flaps 1. Flaps 1, we can go to flaps up. All right, so it flies. This is a great program, this PMDG has created. I can't wait till they come up with their 777. Flaps are tracking all the way up. Gears up, flaps up. Shut the APU off if we had it running. Bug's not going above 230 until now because the flaps were still tracking up. All right, make sure all control pressures are off as we get into the bars. And if it's comfortable and you're not pulling back or going forward on the stick, the autopilot should engage nicely. Either one will do. We'll put on command left because I'm flying the left seat. So there you go. Now the autopilot does a better job. Little circle inside the big circle. Climbing to 5,000. We'll say we're cleared up to our cruising altitude of 12. I'm going to ignore the radio calls, guy, because got a lot to talk with that doesn't help us at all. All right, so that didn't, look at that. I put it on all the way up. So let's get this over to 12. There it is, 12,000. LNAV, BNAV. Left autopilot's on. Look down here. LNAV, BNAV's working. We're ignoring them. We would normally put the HUD away. I'll just leave it out for today. Actually, I'll put it away for now. All right, let's say they clear us direct to Yeoman, which is the IAF. You line select it to the bottom, and you go to, we call this 1L, 1L, 2L, 3L. This would be 1R, 2R, 3R. L's for left, R's for right. We double check this on plan. Say, yeah, that's Yeoman. I look good to you? Yes, sir. We execute and make sure it's still an LNAV. Execute LNAV. There it goes. And ATC gave up on us. That's good. We wanted them to. All right, we're above the weather. So we'd be a little concerned. The reason we'd be a little concerned today is, let me just go put this heading bug matched up, is the weather's kind of bad over at LaGuardia. It was bad out of Hartford, no radar. We'd be calling the ATIS up through the ACARS, double checking if we had any questions at all with dispatch on the, we do it on SATCOM or via the ACARS free text message. Be checking on our weather at LaGuardia, any holding to expected, how about the weather at our alternate, which is Dulles, how about Newark, anything like that. Make sure that's all set. Coming up out of 10, well, we're not out of 10 yet. I'm going to get the brake set for landing. It's a short flight. Right now, the time is presently 12:40. I set the brakes over here on 3, auto brakes. Alarm the spoilers. They're armed for landing. It's presently 12:40. The box is saying we're going to land at 12:57, so 17 minutes. Now we're out of 10. Why is it accelerating to 3:15? Well, if you look at climb, that's the speed it's programmed. What is it going to do when it levels off at 12? It's going to go to 3:10. How about on the descent? It's going to transition to 290 knots on the descent. That looks good. If we wanted to change it, we could. Let's say we wanted it to descend at 3:10. Put 3:10 in there and execute it. And if we said, no, I didn't want to do that, we can go back to Econ and execute it again. So you see that it's in speed. VNav speed, LNav, that means it's navigating to the point and it's going to follow a profile, whatever profile is on here. We're looking for VNav path when we level off. If we're in path, we know that it's going to make the descent properly. Now the PMDG aircraft do that, unlike some of the other vendors. So it's very expensive. This thing's $60 or $70. But the other aircraft, the 777, there's the path. That's a real key point. That means the airplane knows exactly where it is, and it's going to follow, as long as you dial down the altitude window, it's going to follow that descent profile that's listed on airspeed and altitude. Good to know. So out of 10, we would have de-sterilized them, let them know, yep, safe to get up for a little while, guys. We do that by cycling this switch right here. They can call us now. We also know that we're going to want to cross Yeoman at 3. Top of descent is right there. So let's say that air traffic control has cleared us to descend. We can actually put 3 in here. Now we're in path, so as long as we don't push altitude intervene, it's going to wait until it gets to top of descent to start on down. What's it going to descend at? It's going to descend at 290 knots. And it's going to cross, if we don't do anything else, it'll cross Yeoman at 210 and 3,000, at or above 3,000. We'll have to probably help it up with some flaps. What are our flap speeds? Well, we cannot lower our flaps to 1, 2, or 5 until 250 knots. So once we get below 250, which we will be at 10, we can bring our flaps all the way to 5. And below 210, we can get down to 10, 215, etc. Let's go ahead and go auto brakes 3, and it's a short runway at LaGuardia. So let's land flaps 40. There it is. So we'd be talking a lot here. If there's weather in the LaGuardia area, we'll be talking about missed approach, how we do a go-round. If there's thunderstorms in the area, we'll be talking about whether we should even be going there, or if we encounter unexpected wind shear, how do we escape? There's a particular maneuver for that. So autopilot, auto throttles off, flight directors off, and we rotate to 15 degrees and follow the command bars. Not flight directors off, speed brake lever retractor. Our go-around would just be toga, flaps 20, positive rate, gear up, set missed approach altitude, and we clean it up in either heading select or flight level change or VNav. That's our normal go around. So we discuss go around, we discuss wind shear, we talk to dispatch, get our weather, send a transponder, a changeover to company, let them know what time we plan on getting there. They give us our gate assignment. We talk about, we brief our approach, we set our mins. I think at LaGuardia it's 250, so 260 in the Barrow. Takes a little while. I'm setting this number right here. Which is 250 plus 10 or 12. There it goes. So it hit the top of descent. There's the path right there. It's following the path. What's it going to do? Well, we know it's going to be at 240 below 10. That's what if it's on path, we know it's going to do that. We also know that it's planning on crossing Yeoman at 210 and at or above 3. So we briefed the approach, set the minimums, briefed the frequencies, approach and missed approach. Check our legs, our crossing altitudes. Greco, that's our FF crossing altitude. We check the missed approach in the box versus the approach plate. Talk about the approach sledding, and we talk about our taxi, how we're going to get off the runway and to the gate. All right, now here it is at 290, passing 11. It's in path, so it should slow down to below 250, below 10. Starting to pull up now. Airspeed is starting to come back. So I would make, we call for the cruise checklist and the descent checklist. That would include making a PA. I'm going to sterilize the flight attendants, tell them that flight attendants prepare for landing. It lets them know below 10, and unless it's a serious issue, please don't bother us, we'll be kind of busy. That's what that means. Now, if it was going to be bumpy, we'd make a PA, tell the flight attendants prepare early. We tell the people to remain in their seats. We're expecting kind of a bumpy ride on the descent. Sometimes they ignore that seatbelt sign, so if you tell them bumpy ride, they get excited. So the weather's not great. We've been talking about our bingo fuel. Right now we have 20.7 reserve plus alternate. That's whatever reserve are required by our flight plan following, plus the fuel it takes to get to Dulles would be our reserve plus alternate, probably be around 14. So we'd have probably 30 minutes of holding today. But everyone's diverting if the weather's that bad, so we add a few thousand. So say we have 15 minutes of holding, maybe 2 or 3 turns in the holding pattern, or a missed approach with a hold. Anyway, we call that our bingo fuel. Bingo means bingo, let's get out of here. That's the fuel after which we both agree we don't want to go below. As a captain, I always take whoever's the more conservative guy. So if I said, hey, let's bingo with 15, and the first officer said, I'm more comfortable with 14 because of the traffic patterns going in on the divert into Dulles, I would just defer to him. We're both in it together. It's part of being a team. So Yeoman at 28, we always back up our descent with manual calculations. 28 miles to Yeoman. We want to be at 3, so 7,000 feet to lose. 3 times 7 is 21. We're 26, so that tells us, yeah, we're pretty much, that path is correct. If it wasn't, we go in here, we look, because maybe we programmed something improperly. All right, so the approach is briefed. We've coordinated with dispatch about the weather at our alternate. We've talked about missed approach, wind shear escape maneuvers. Brief the flight attendants to remain seated and the people to remain seated. We do a landing calculation. It's only a 7,000 foot runway. We're pretty heavy today. We're at 160. I don't remember what the max landing weight, that's above it for the 7.3. But we do a landing distance for wet runway or icy runway, and or malfunctions like engine out. We talk all about that. We talk about our brake setting and our flap setting. So brakes, already discussed, we're going to do 3, and we're going to do flaps 40 on our approach due to the short runway and wet runway. Got to be honest with you, as a sim pilot here, I don't know what the weather is at LaGuardia. I don't know. I just programmed for rain showers, and that was pretty bad at Bradley, but I'm not sure the same is true for LaGuardia. All right, I think we're all briefed. We're all comfortable. We're just monitoring the autopilot coming on in. Let's talk about speed intervene. So the airplane is doing its own thing. If I were to lower flaps to 1 right now, below 250, the airspeed would drop down to the flaps 1 speed, which should be down around like 190. I don't want to go that slow. But if I needed the flaps out, I could go flaps 1. Let's do it. Flaps 1, but it's trying to go down to 200. I could say, I don't want to go that slow. I speed intervene and bring the speed up to whatever speed I wanted to do. Let's say 235. That's called speed intervene. So it's still in path, but we're controlling the airspeed, which, to be honest with you, is typically how we do it, because air traffic control rarely, if ever, lets you fly whatever the machine wants. They give you your airspeeds. They let you fly the path you want, but generally, if everyone's flying their own airspeed, they get all sorts of problems with aircraft getting too close to each other. The separation just becomes unacceptable. So we fly mostly, if we're going to use LNAV, VNAV to transition to the ILS, or fly an RNAV approach, which we fly in LNAV, VNAV, we typically are in speed intervene all the way down. LNAV, VNAV, speed intervene, and we fly our whatever speeds air traffic control needs or where we want. Looks good. See this green arc? This green arc is where we're going to be. Our aircraft is going to level based on our current vertical speed, based on the altitude in the window. So it means it's going to be at 3,000 feet right there at Yeoman. So we're supposed to be at Yeoman at 3 and 210, at or above 3 and 210, and the arc is telling us, yeah, we got this. We're going to manually control the window. We'll be at Yeoman. We'll have this at 210 for Yeoman. Again, if we wanted to go more flaps, we could now. Bring the flaps to 2. Can I even see that? Not really. But they are going to 2, and it would go all the way to 192 if we weren't speed intervening. We just don't want to go that slow. LaGuardia would not be happy. So let's get the HUDs deployed. The checklist would determine that. Captain has a HUD. Here's the deal. See how the little circle is inside the big circle? That's where you want to be on the HUD. So airspeed or altitude. It's great for transitioning to land, because wherever this is pointing, this pipper, the big one, is where the little one is where the aircraft, the runway is, where the big one is where the runway is. So that helps you to find the runway. Sometimes when you've got a lot of crosswind in, or it's a displaced approach, like an offset approach, it's hard to see the runway. So that's kind of cool. But as far as the flare, landing, it doesn't help you much at all. Matter of fact, you don't want to follow it. You want to do that visually. However, 777, that's what I'm flying now, 7.3 is capable of Autoland. You can go down as low as 300, 300, and 300 on the RVR. Or it depends what your airline bought it for. It could be certified down to 600, or if they didn't pay for any Autoland certification, only down to 50-foot decision height. But today we're going to assume that we're in an airline that has certified their airplane all the way down to minimums, so it can Autoland. All right, so at Yeoman we wanted to be at 210, so we're in speed intervene, right? So let's get this airspeed down to 210. Let's go to 200. And we'll give it another notch of flaps. Bring it down to 5. Anytime you fly in a low visibility approach, you want to get stable nice and early. Now, when can we go to flaps 15? Since I haven't flown this in years, below 200. So let's get that ready. We'll go all the way to 190. It's a good speed as long as you're above the flaps 5 speed. Matter of fact, we better not play games with such low visibility. Let's get down to 180. So we're well below flaps 15, or even below flaps 25 when we get the gear down. It's on path. It's following the glide path. VNAV, LNAV path. It's doing a good job. We're in speed intervention up here. So Arrow's well. We'll be contacting tower. We're clear for the ILS. We come up here and we arm the approach. What do we see for that? We see low capture. It's captured the final approach course. Matter of fact, let's go both autopilots on. We'll set it up for an auto land. Here we go. We're not on the glide path yet, but it's coming down. So we're low capture, VOL low capture. It's coming up on 3, and it probably is glide slope capture, low capture. So now we go up here, we set missed approach altitude, which is 3,000. We call tower. Here comes the glide path. Let's get the gear down. You pull out, put it down. We talked about flaps 15. We can do that. Let's go flaps 15. Get the airspeed coming back some more. We can go flaps 25 because the gear is down 3 green. Down 3 green, so we can get the flaps to 25. Okay.
2,500.
And now we're below 162. When we are, we can go to flaps 40. Flaps are 40, spoilers on, auto brakes are on, missed approach altitude is set, and we are stable. Coming up at Greco, we would double check the crossing altitude, always backing up with the automated stuff. Should be at 1900 at Greco. We got low capture, glide slope capture, missed approach is set. We are good. If you take a look at the HUD, the little circles inside the big circle, that's what we want. It says we are category 3, which means Autoland capability. It says single channel. We need both channels to be in Autoland. All right, we passed Greco at 1900. Wood Tower, we're clear to land. All the lights are on, clear to land. Now, on an Autoland, any pilot notices anything going wrong, there's no time to rebrief it or change the approach. They would just say go around. Certainly single channel will be one of them, but we are category 3 up here. Coming in, the weather's not too bad, but if we don't see it, we're going to have to go around with just toga, which you're not going to have time for actually. Positive rate, gear up, set missed approach altitude as you raise the flaps all the way up to 20. That's on a missed approach. Doesn't appear to be any thunderstorms in the area.
1,000.
And pilot monitoring says stable. Means that you're on glide path, on airspeed. Everything's good. Pilot flying is inside the whole time. At 300 feet, he'll start transitioning inside and outside. You can see off on the left, you're starting to pick up the ground. So there's reason to believe we're going to be able to get in here. At 500, we're going to check speed, plus or minus 5 knots, course, and sink rate, no greater than 1,000. Captain's starting to pick up the ground. He's inside and outside. I'm not sure about this altimeter, guys. Looks like we're a little below 500. See this flare? That tells us the airplane knows it's going to auto land. You don't see that, you go around too. So at 300, captain's inside and outside on this auto land today. You're looking, there's the approach light. We can go down to 100 feet on the approach lights if we weren't Cat 3. If you're just Cat 1, there's a runway in sight. Continuing.
100.
Start the flare.
40. 30.
Nose up. Power's coming back.
10.
And isn't that something? That is pretty cool. That's worth the video right there, I swear. All right, let's get the auto throttles off. Okay, so it's starting to veer. So take the autopilot off. Take it over manually. Full reverse. Out of 80, start coming out. Fully out of reverse. Reverse idle at 60. And we would taxi to the gate. And there you go. Once again, that's Father Time. If you wouldn't mind liking and subscribing, I'd appreciate it. Just an old guy getting ready to retire. Bye-bye.